Hey everybody, another replay here in the Type 59 this time. Now I haven't taken this tank out for quite a while. Actually, it's been sitting mostly unplayed in my garage for several years now. I kind of got sick of playing it. It's not a bad tank or anything, it's just not fun unless you've got a platoon of them together, and even then it gets kind of old after a while because it's just, I don't know, very bland. It's not very hard to play, and it doesn't really have any interesting quirks. It's just a chore, really. It's like playing the Waffenträger in 100. It's a good tank. It does a lot of fucking damage. You know, you can wreck people in it, but it's just not fun. And so after a while, you don't want to play it anymore. But 59 is soon getting an HD update, and that always encourages me to bust out old tanks I haven't played for a while. And aside from that, I was in need of credits, so I figured, you know what, why not? So of course, being in need of credits, being the genius I am, I hot-loaded APCR round first, because I still don't quite trust this thing's gun. And as usual, I pushed pretty aggressively into the city. Now this map got changed, and they extended the A-line buildings out a bit, so you can't actually shoot quite so readily into the north spawns or north team as they move from spawn into the town. I think it's kind of unnecessary because it was already difficult enough to get good shots into them from the ridge line, unless they sat in the open, but oh well. I mean, it's certainly not the worst thing to happen, and I usually play in the town anyway, since I'm usually in mediums rather than tank destroyers, so it's not too bad. I set myself up in my usual spot next to this building. I really quite like this spot. You're mostly protected from artillery, of which there's none in this match anyway. Gives you a good pre-aim position at that corner. There's always some idiot that battleships around it, but in this case it was taking a bit long, and so I decided to shift to the other side of the building and see what I could see. I am top tier, and when you're top tier in a Type 59, it's generally going to be a pretty easy match. There's a Super Pershing here. He has some support, but it's kind of hanging back, so I decided to see what I can do. And I get so distracted trying to position myself to hit him without being hit by his support that I actually forget I've still got APCR loaded, and I don't realise that I'm slinging gold until about 2 or 3 minutes later after I've shot nearly all of my APCR. So this did end up being quite expensive. I think I still turned a profit on this game, but not much. Now, there's actually nothing in this match I genuinely need APCR for, but as I said, I don't quite trust the gun, and it's become something of a superstitious habit almost for me to load APCR for my first round in some of the tanks where the pen's a bit dicey. Especially when I'm not top tier, but even top tier in this thing, it's force of habit. It's difficult to break. And I know full well that it doesn't actually improve my gameplay at all, especially since the first thing you usually run into is a light tank, which you certainly don't need gold for. But, you know, it's just one of those things. You full well know that it's stupid and there's no reason to do it, but you can't seem to stop yourself anyway. The Super Persh and his friend in the KV-85 go down, which leaves me to push into these two. Now, the 112's distracted at the moment, which buys me some time to deal with the Easy 8. The Roomba is a really bad shot, and actually fails to do any hit point damage to me, despite damaging my gun and tracks. Managed to track the 112 on the corner. I try and keep him tracked there by hitting him again. Still got APCR loaded, and I think it was about here I realised. Roll in behind, retrack, you're not going anywhere, buddy. I don't know if he wasn't carrying a repair kit, or if he'd already used it, or if he was trying to save it for something more important, but either way, he did not have a good time here. He's carrying an automatic extinguisher, so I assume he is carrying a repair kit, and he probably just already used it. But that's how you deal with a 112. Just get it stuck behind cover where it can't aim its gun at you and track it. I almost feel bad for that guy. Anyway, town's been cleaned up. There is a Roomba defending the enemy base. I don't want to push it because I don't know which gun it has, not for certain anyway, and I don't want to risk it. Even if it has the 128, it can kill me in 2 shots, and it's just really not worth the risk. So instead of pushing on it, I decide to fall back and defend our cap, which is the right move anyway, since the majority of the enemy team is still pushing through the east side, including their Wheezy. We get spotted there, but the enemy are actually ignoring me. So I look for shots on the side of this 29. Good old Chinese accuracy there. Sends a shell into the guy's track, and then one into the ground. That said, I am shooting at nearly 600 meters, so I can't expect too much out of this gun. The Type 59's gun has bad handling. The bloom is an issue. It's not a pleasant gun to shoot, but its accuracy, once it's aimed in, isn't too terrible. It's certainly not the worst. And it seems to actually be a trend, particularly with the Wheezy 120, which is one of my favorite tanks in the game. Although it has bad accuracy on, or like, not bad, but mediocre accuracy on paper and bad handling issues, if you actually let the thing aim in, it's pretty accurate. I mean, it's got decent enough pen that you don't need to hit tiny weak spots. And so I've never felt that the Wheezy 120 was lacking for accuracy. The Type 59, it's not so much lacking for accuracy as it is lacking for gun handling. And because the gun does fire much faster, it kind of encourages you to shoot without properly setting yourself up for it. Like that. I'm hugging this ridgeline here to try and prevent myself from getting hit by the Roomba, which we still can't see. I am kind of exposed to the tanks in the southeast, but they can't actually spot me at the moment. And with the T-29 dealt with, I decide to head back closer to our cap, so I actually have eyes on it, and defend from this little defilade here. Now, I'm sticking to the right. If you can see it, the terrain slopes very slightly towards the edge of the map here, so I'm in low ground, they can't hit me from our own cap. And especially as I move into this little gully here, they can't even see me from our cap. Again, it's all about knowing the terrain. If you have a good eye for it, you'll do well. You really need to pay attention to these little things. The subtlest slope on a hill can be the difference between a win or a loss. And that's not exaggerating, that really is the truth. You know, it's the difference between being seen and not being seen, or being hit and not being hit, and that can swing the outcome of a match. Anyway, it's pretty close now. Both myself and the enemy, is that 112? No, it's a 111. The enemy Wheezy 111 and myself both on 4 kills. And they also still have that Roomba. Our team's kind of spread out. 3001 doesn't have much health. T-29 though is able to finish off the Roomba, and here's the Wheezy. He's lower on health than I expected, and he's also not paying attention. I don't know why he's driving out in the open like that. He must not have figured I was here, which means that I wasn't actually seen for quite a long time there. And he's fucked himself now. He's completely boned. There's nothing he can do. He's going to get shot by at least one of us, no matter what he angles towards. And in this case, I'm able to just finish him off. Maybe he should have spent more time shooting tanks instead of spouting memes in chat. Just gonna say it. Although I do like his name. The quick shot finish off the SU-100Y. I managed to win us the game, earn myself a Top Gun, and it's a cool 3600 damage. Good way to get back into the swing of things with the Type 59. I think I've spoken about this thing plenty in my previous videos, but just a refresher, it's not the mythical imbalanced monster tank everyone makes it out to be. It's a solid tank, but it's not nearly deserving of the reputation it has. The reason it has that reputation is complicated, and I have gone over it in the past, but fuck it, I'll go over it again. Back when the Type 59 was first added to the game, the matchmaking was a bit different. The plus minus 2-tier matchmaking we have now, where say if you're in tier 6 you'll only see up to tier 8 unless you retard platoon, that didn't exist. And so you would have tier 3 and 4 tanks running into these things regularly. And not only that, but it was a popular tank, lots of people bought it, so you would have 5 or 6 of them on a team every game. And you can imagine how much that fucked things up, having 5 or 6 of these running around trampling on tier 4 and 5 tanks. So that was a large part of what gave the Type 59 its original reputation. Another part of that was, in addition to the fact it saw low tier tanks that really couldn't even pen it with gold, the fact is that premium rounds weren't available for credits back then. You could only buy them with actual gold, which very, very few people did. And so there was not much chance at penning it for a lot of the tanks, even in its own matchmaking bracket. Speaking in modern terms, it's matchmaking bracket, tier 6 to 9. So that made it quite a ferocious enemy. Add in back then that nobody really knew how to play the game. A lot of people were auto-aiming, and auto-aim at that point was higher on the tank. It would aim at the turret instead of the hull. The fact that they are mobile tanks, relatively speaking, so they're always moving, it makes it really fucking hard to get a good shot if you need to get a flat shot into the lower plate. Against a Type 59 that's jockeying for position, it's not going to happen. And just stuff like that was what really gave it a reputation back then, and then the fact it got pulled from the store was what sort of doomed it to living in infamy. And now the Type 59 is viewed as the holy grail of tanks, and you see them go on eBay every now and then for thousands of dollars. Like, fuck me, what's wrong with these people? This is coming from somebody who shelled out like 130 a piece for the 2J and the BTSV. I don't regret that at all, by the way, it was a lot of fun. But, yeah, like $1,000 and something for a Type 59. You can see me play this thing. Like, it's a good tank. It's alright, but it's not $1,000 worth. Like, fuck off. Are you high? Just get a T-44 and play that. It's not premium, but it's the same kind of thing. Actually, it's better. Because the T-44 is faster, more mobile, has a better gun. It doesn't have the bowl turret, but the T-44's turret isn't that bad. So yeah, it has a really undeserved reputation. It's a fun enough tank to play when you first get it, but again, after nearly 1,500 matches in this tank alone, it's just like, fuck it, I'm done, I want to play something else. They are good in platoons, because they are, they're not as mobile as a T-44, for instance, but they are mobile enough, so you can put some pretty impressive fast medium stuff into play with them, particularly when you are top tier. They do get preferential matchmaking, so they will never see tier 10s, which is a good thing because their gun couldn't cope with tier 10s. All round, it's not a bad tank. It's really not bad. The gun, don't really like it. Mobility, not so great, but it's a decent all-round package. And the fact that I had one and I played it so much meant that the moment the actual Chinese tree came out, I was able to put a 4-skill crew into the Wheezy 120. A 4-skill crew with camouflage. So my Wheezy 120 from day one was a fucking ninja. And still is. Which was a lot of fun. So yeah, that's a brief history of the Type 59. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching. And as ever, I'll catch you on the next one.